I'm Andrea Sikorsky, president of the Jerome Park Neighborhood Association. Before I begin, I'd like to provide just a brief update on the recent October Neighborhood Coordinating Council meeting. As you know, the Neighborhood Coordinating Council is a group of representatives from each of the active neighborhood associations that meet with city officials and other representatives from the community to discuss issues that confront the community. At the recent meeting in October, we met with officials from the Office of Emergency Management to discuss about the protocols that are in place for emergency planning. Now, there are several protocols in place for such things as flooding and snow removal, windstorms, ice storms. Sadly, there aren't a lot of protocols yet in place for some of the issues that some of the folks were concerned about in terms of potential problems with the fracking industry, but we understand that that is a process that the Office of Emergency Management is working on. At least that's what they presented to us. We also met with Chris Fletcher, Director of the Department of Developmental Services, to discuss a new proactive approach to code enforcement within the city. In the past, there have been several issues concerning code enforcement within the various wards. Mr. Fletcher explained to us that the new approach would organize the wards more into zones because there was a lot of overlap with the wards in terms of code enforcement. So this is some other green space in Jerome Park. Jerome Park still has quite a bit of green space left, but we are losing it, sadly, to some development, but we are working with the city on future plans for establishing a park within the Bow Park system.
Can we turn off some of the lights? Because you have nice photographs and it's hard to see them. I don't know if
they can
we've
come
tried
down,
it
but
before.
I might not be able to see that.
Yeah, we've tried it before.
Okay.
If we could get half of them, or
Okay.
then your nice photographs show up and you can still read.
Okay. Okay. So this is
Thank you.
Putnam Street. Putnam Street, and some of the green space is still available. The old park site on Jerome Street was developed in 1907 as a stop on the trolley line. Sadly, I wasn't able to find or procure any of those old photographs. But the park featured a merry-go-round, sand slide, refreshment stand, swings, and a dance pavilion. And at this time, in 1907, it was the only park in what would become the 6th Ward of Morgantown. The Dominion Post in 2005 did a very nice story on the history of the Jerome Park, the old park site. Sadly, the 2.2 acres of this site are now slated for PUD, but we're working with the developers to try and establish some buffer zones and to work with the organization so that we can keep some of the green space. Okay. We are working, as I said, with Bow Park to establish a pocket park at the corner of Darst and Denver, known as Mayfield Park. The city recently procured a grant from the Soil and Land Conservation Grant Funding Agency, or the Soil Land Conservation Act, to establish a pocket park at the corner of Darst and Denver, known as Mayfield Park. The park was named for a longtime Jerome Park resident, DESSIE Mayfield, who at the time was one of the oldest living residents in Jerome Park, and she was very active in the first Jerome Park Neighborhood Association and very active in the community. Currently, this is still private property, but as we said, we're hoping to establish this as a neighborhood park. And that's DESSIE Mayfield and Mayor Florence Merrow back in the 1980s. So, yeah. Okay. So the future plans that we hope to establish in the park, we hope to continue. This was at one time the playground for Jerome Park Grade School. So there is a basketball court there, there's some swings there, there's a slide, there's a park bench. But we'd really like to do some more renovation in the park. We'd like to keep the basketball courts, perhaps have a pavilion and a picnic area, perhaps a soccer field, but that's, those are all issues that we're negotiating right now with Boat Park. Like many neighborhoods, Jerome Park is not without its share of traffic problems. Hampton Avenue to Darce to Mineral Street, it's all the same street. It just depends on whether, as I say, you're on the hill, you're up the hill, on the hill, or over the hill. In a recent study done by the city, it was noted that 6,700 cars per day cut through that traffic. And those are estimates that the Traffic Commission has provided. There have been several options that have been discussed to address the cut-through traffic. Unfortunately, the slope and grade on Darce Street precludes any sort of speed humps or any sort of speed devices that would assist. The problem is not really speeding, to be honest. The problem is with the volume of traffic that comes through the neighborhood and then cuts through Carlisle and Carlisle Alley, and there is speeding on those two streets. But again, this is something that we share with all of the neighborhoods in town. Speaking of bridges, many of you are familiar with the Hartman Run Road or Jerome Park Bridge, which was built in 1939. And I'm sure many of you have traveled this bridge and have noted the deplorable condition that the bridge is in. It has recently been paved, and renovation and new construction of the bridge is slated for 2012. The Neighborhood Association has been working carefully with the Division of Highways. They sent some engineers to our Neighborhood Association last year to discuss 6 possible plans or 6 possible projects for the bridge, 2 of which are favored by the Division of Highways. And the one that is most favored would include widening the entrance coming from Saberton to Jerome Park, which is what you're looking at. Would widen the area, would move the road to the west slightly, and would expand the area and would include an island to increase the sight line, because it's very dangerous coming off of Mineral Avenue to the right. So the state is looking at various options. The project will cost around, as you see, $5,231,000.
Will retain a walkway?
Yes, we have made it clear that we definitely want to retain the walkway.
Get that in the planning phase we're figuring out.
Yeah, we have made that request. So let's see how. The Jerome Park Neighborhood Association sponsors an annual July picnic. Sadly, my camera this year had dead batteries, so this is the picture from last year. But Council members Herbst and Nugent attended our picnic in July, and I think they will attest we all had a very good time. We also, as I mentioned earlier, sponsored a neighborhood yard sale with Mount Hermon Baptist Church, and we hope to establish a fall event as well, but competing with some of the football games has proved difficult, but we're hoping to do that at some point. Holiday plans. Last year, the Jerome Park Neighborhood Association started a tradition of food baskets for the holidays, which we will continue this year, and we hope to continue throughout the Neighborhood Association tenure. And our conclusion. The current incarnation of the Jerome Park Neighborhood Association began in the summer of 2009 as a way to provide a voice of representation for the neighborhood within the city. We continue to work with the city on zoning concerns, traffic problems, green space, and maintaining the inclusive, multicultural, and multi-generational neighborhood that makes Jerome Park one of the happiest and safest neighborhoods in the city. And as I said, we have a new incarnation of the Neighborhood Association, but Jerome Park had a neighborhood association long before, many years before, in the 1980s. And this is a picture that I thought I would share. Many of those kids are now my age and are now part of the current Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Thank you.